Alright everyone, here is the video review for Transformers Earthrise Leader Class Double Dealer. It's one I've been looking forward to, not quite as much as Snapdragon, but I think I have one of those maybe on the way. If you see a Snapdragon and you can pick one up for me, please let me know, because I will probably have more than one of them, and I would appreciate it. But anyway, Double Dealer got here today thanks to the Toa Nuva on Twitter, at the Toa Nuva. Frosty the Cubed, who helped me out and got this to me today. Very nice. Like I said on Twitter, he's fantastic. You know, I did say on Twitter that he is probably the most complete leader class figure, and I have to take and I do have to apologize for that, because I had forgotten about Ultra Magnus and maybe to a lesser degree the Galaxy Upgrade Optimus, but like Ultra Magnus also felt like a complete worthy leader class sized figure and not just a Voyager with extra parts, even though Magnus by his nature is kind of a Voyager with some extra parts, but that's how he works. Whereas, you know, like Astrotrain and Shockwave, and there's another one I was thinking of, but even leader class Optimus Prime with the trailer. Now granted, the trailer, you do need the trailer to complete Optimus Prime, but it's a box that comes with Optimus Prime and he's a smaller robot. So yeah, apologies to Ultra Magnus. I biffed it on that. But that does not take away from the fact that this just is a complete package. Like, I don't have, while there may be like some QC minor hitches on this, like I honestly really don't have many complaints about the toy itself, and I'll say that right off the bat. So there you go. If you just want to know, should you buy it? Yes, okay, you can stop watching if you have no interest in the figure itself. But yeah, I do think he's worth the money. He's a very fun figure, and I'm happy to have him. Now this, I'm starting off, I'm going to go from here into robot mode, into bird mode, because technically this is his alt mode. His Autobot form is the humanoid robot. His Decepticon form is the bird, the Falcon robot, and eagle, whatever kind of bird it is. And this is technically his alt mode. Now you could play it that the way they've done this, you can have the robot mode be either one, and then maybe you could say this is his Autobot alt mode, the bird is his Decepticon alt mode, however you want to do it, but technically this is his alt mode and the other two are the two faction robots. So he's a missile tank kind of thing, very Machine War Soundwave-ish in look, with a big old missile here, some weapons, some little missile pods that are just pegged in, a gun, a little radar scanner. Actually, looks like maybe this is like one of the sound cannon things that they have now. But back here, he does have the bird tail and some supports back here that are just on ball joints, so you can flip those down to support it, fold down the kind of blast pad, and then angle the missile up and turn him into like a mobile missile launching platform, which is pretty cool. He does have this piece, which is not a separate piece like it was on the original G1 toy, that was kind of there as the chest plate versus a way to hold one of the extra Power Masters, because he was a dual Power Master in G1. And you can still do that. If you have the, as I mentioned in the video review, the Knock and Scar from the Soundwave Spy Patrol 3rd unit that was Generation Select exclusive, he can hold them in here. Now, Knock tends to fit a little better without falling out. Scar, I have found, if you put him in there, he's a little loose and tends to fall out. Actually, I like to put his head up there. He's a little loose. Does he fit like this? Maybe it's upside down will fit. No, he's a little loose. But I found if you put it so the back of his head is up at the solid part of the top here, and then just kind of use the head as a button, push it in just a smidge. That gives it just enough friction to not fall out. And if it does get stuck, you still got the little tab there. And we'll show those off as we transform them through things. But also, because these are just reused cassette molds, they do still have those little tabs that allow them to be armor. And if you flip that out, he's got a little engine piece here on what will be his ab section that can pop off. So you can take this little piece off of a peg, and you can put this on the back of either of the cassettes to make it look more like a Power Master engine. Entirely up to you. Now, it doesn't allow Knock to sit in his ab section the way it did on the old toy, but it kind of replicates that look here when we get to robot mode, but that little piece just sits right there. And aside from rolling, that's about it for the missile carrier mode here. So to go to robot mode, we'll go ahead and like this piece with the supports and the tail is a little parts former. You got to pull. It is parts former. But you pop that piece off and set that off to the side for the time being. The missile comes out. It should be pegged into both of those holes, but you just take the missile off, go ahead and split it apart into its rifle and shoulder launcher components, and take off all the weapons here. Technically, you can leave these pieces here under the black arm part. These little missile launchers can stay there, but I like where they fit in robot mode. But they don't look bad if you just keep them on the arms in robot mode. And put those off to the side. And now I've got the core robot. So go ahead and take this and flip it around. You can see his wings kind of hang out here in the back. Just fold that down for right now. And then open up the arms. I'll bring them around and then untab this from here. And bring it around and rotate it so the elbow is facing forward. And then flip out his hands. And a trick, when you fold his hands up for either of the alt modes, they'll want to stop right here, but they do click and lock into place. So if you don't want them flopping around, make sure you push those all the way in so they click so this is sticking straight out. And then bring the other arm around. Flip those out. Then this piece lifts up, rotates around on that, and folds up and tabs in onto the chest here. And this is where you can see that there's some detailing that kind of is reminiscent of where Nock would sit in robot mode with that ab piece. But even if you pull that out, it doesn't really allow him to stick in there and sit on the ab like he did as a Power Master. Nice head sculpt, a beautiful head sculpt on this thing. We'll show off in here in a minute. The legs, you want to unpeg them here first. There's the way these pieces come around this teal inner thigh, you really want to have these unpegged. You don't want to try to force them out because you need this piece to have a little bit of give to get around here, or you could stress it. Potentially. Somebody mentioned complaints about stressing on the legs, and that's the only place I could see where it would happen. So unpeg these. Now, there's a tab right here that actually slots into the thigh here in robot mode and into this slot up here for bird mode. And the instructions aren't super clear on that, especially for his missile tank mode on how to make that happen, because there's a dual hinge joint. This black tab here in the back of his knee folds up into this slot on the teal thigh right up here for bird mode. And for the missile tank mode, you can see there's his actual knee hinge here versus the secondary hinge right here. And if you just fold it around on right here where the black piece meets the bluish green piece, that will not line up that tab. You kind of have to collapse, push this knee joint in a little bit to get that tab to line up properly. So just be aware of that when you're going to tank mode. But once that's done, you can just kind of extend this and flip it around. And again, if you have this fully extended and not so that this is pretty much a straight line from the thigh down to here, you'll have less clearance issues getting this thing around, and less likely you'll stress anything in the leg. So flip those around till they click, and then rotate them so the wheels face the inside of the legs, and then fold these panels up, and then fold these panels flat. And there his legs are done, and as you can see, he's got a thigh, kind of a below knee swivel there. He does also have a thigh swivel up here. He does have hinge knees, and he does actually have some ankle tilt, which is nice. And that is the base of robot mode here. And again, I'm going to pull him up because I really want to show off this face sculpt because it really is just fantastic. See if we can get some light around here to the front to show it off, because it's just a really nice double dealer face sculpt here. He's got a little bit up and down, it's slightly ball jointed, but again, the shape of the helmet and the flatness of his torso don't let him look down or up a lot, but it is there. But just a really, really nice crisp head sculpt here on Double Dealer. Leave that there for the time being. And then all the extra pieces. So this piece, the little sound cannon, plugs in up here on the shoulder. This is just officially according to the instructions. There's all sorts of 5mm peg holes you can use all around him. The shoulder piece plugs in right up here. Give him his rifle. This, according to the instructions, sits right here. And this is what I was saying. You could have left these here on his forearms from missile tank mode, and they look fine there. The official instruction spot is down here on his legs, and I like to put him down there just to give him a little more balance from top to bottom for his extra weapons. But you can extend. There's all sorts of 5mm ports. You can stick them wherever. And there is Double Dealer's Autobot robot mode. Oh, not entirely. This piece. So you flip this piece up, and then this piece folds up like this. Although the instructions specifically say there's a flat edge here and a curved edge on this side, and they specifically want you to bend it against that flat edge, which causes some friction. And I feel like it bends this way very easily, and I feel like the curved part should have been up here. But at the same time, you absolutely need this peg, this side of this piece up against this piece so the peg holes line up on the same plane. So whatever. But anyway, you flip this up like this, according to the instructions, and with this piece sitting flat against the back, it slots into here. And then you can give him these kind of little wings on his back if you wish. I usually just tend to fold them down back here, and that's where that piece sits in robot mode. You can also, and I wish they had designed this shoulder cannon so this slot was underneath here when it plugs into robot mode, only because if you do that, you could have, there's a way to attach this. And you still can, but if you can fold this flat against his back, and you could have attached it, still using the wing pieces here out to the side, but it could just peg in just like this, flat into that piece, and hung out on the back like that. And the only problem with that is you can't push that all the way in. This peg hole pushes it up, and while it will stay in place like that, it's not super secure. It doesn't take much to pop this out versus having it securely pegged in. And if this, like I said, if this slot were down here. A minor nitpick, because really, it just aesthetically, it makes, to plug it in the proper way, you have to have this piece sticking all the way out the back. And once this is in, it's not quite as egregious looking, but it would have been nice to not have this tab sticking all the way out of his back. We can just fold these down. And like I said, if you wanted to, you could, if you want to incorporate the Power Master, it won't tab in, but you can rotate this around if you want, and have Nox sitting in there right there on his chest. If you really would just want to replicate that Power Master play pattern. And also, if you just want to keep his partners with him, you can you can actually fold this up and store him in there while he's in robot mode. And then the other one, both of them have this little tab, and both of them can attach to any of the 5mm ports in the same way that the cassettes could attach to Soundwave as like power armor. Although it's always a shame that the pegs, I get it, are on the back side. So any way you attach these things as armor, you end up seeing like his face sitting out there. But whatever. I have also done a way where I have taken this and I have flipped it. Did I flip it around? I feel like, yeah, I flipped it around and had this sitting on there in a way where I could kind of angle this in. Let me see if I can't do it again, because I haven't been able to replicate it since. But where I had this kind of plugged in at an angle on the inside here, like that, and then plugged it in like this, and set that sit flat. And it was just enough there that it would stay in there, and I haven't been able to replicate it since. I don't know how I did it the first time. But I at one point I did have him just kind of storing in the back where he was a little hidden, but have not replicated that. So articulation-wise, like I said, he's got that ball joint at the head. He's got dual hinge shoulders, a bicep swivel, dual hinge elbows to a nice positioning there, because they have to fold all the way around for alt mode. He has a waist swivel down here, although the wings kind of get in the way. But the way the wing hinges work, you can angle those back to give him a full clearance on his hips, which is really nice. He's got the hinge knees, the thigh and lower knee rotation, as well as the ankle tilt. Does he have wrist swivel? He does have wrist swivel as well. Hadn't actually checked that yet. Although I did know it because I've rotated his wrist around during transformation. So I knew it was there, but just hadn't officially confirmed it to myself. But yeah, very nice very nice robot mode. Now I mentioned some of the other leader class figures, and we'll go ahead and like, here he is. Like I said, he's definitely beefier and bulkier than the base Optimus Prime figure. Optimus Prime is worth the leader class because he comes with his trailer, and I feel like for an Earth mode Optimus, you want that trailer. But yeah, he's bigger and bulkier all around than Leader Optimus. Here he is with Ultra Magnus, another good leader class figure. Ultra Magnus, a little taller, a little bulkier, but also hollow. Well, maybe not hollower, but you know, he's got that trailer armor. And then just because I was feeling it and having fun, here he is with some of his other recently updated Power Master friends. So there, just to give you an idea of how he fits in with some of his later G1 buddies. Although technically, those are all Decepticons, and he's kind of the punch-counterpunch of the later waves. And I don't know why I tend to think of him as a Decepticon, maybe because of what they did with the IDW comics. But yeah, either way. And to go to bird mode, now, like I also mentioned, the robot mode, if you want to pretend, is like his missile tank is the Autobot alt mode, the bird is a Decepticon alt mode, and the robot can be a double agent. He does have these little flip down panels that cover up his Autobot symbols. You can have him display both factions at once if you wish, but he has these little panels that flip down off his shoulders to cover his Autobot symbols with Decepticon symbols. That's part of the transformation to Falcon mode, so technically we officially started that, but that is, like I said, that's something you can do. Also, his instructions, like his box, has the symbol on the top of his box is basically like a Decepticon logo that's slightly staticky, whereas the symbol here on his instruction sheet actually does kind of look vaguely Punisher-esque, but also like kind of a mix of the Autobot and Decepticon logos, which is kind of cool. Like I said, I don't know why they didn't use that on the outer box. It's just kind of a Decepticon symbol that's been sliced and is starting to fall apart like some anime swords people. Anyway, on to Falcon mode. We'll go ahead and take this off, and we'll put it back together into its missile form, rocket form, whatever. Pop off all these pieces. Go ahead and pop knock out of here. And then this engine, if you want, does also work, even though it's modeled more after Knock's engine from the toy. It does. You can put it on either one of the cassette guys as Power Master engine. But yeah, so to get to Falcon, we come over here. Go ahead and again pop this piece off, flatten it out. The arms here, instead of bringing just the arms up, you want to bring, I guess bring this down. Bring the whole assembly out with the wheels as well, out to the side. And then angle the wheels straight out like this. And bring them all the way down until you stop moving. And then bring his feet down. And then there's a tab right here that I'll fold the hands in, just like we did. Put them all the way in for vehicle mode. There's a slot here on the arm, and it's kind of tricky to line up. You just want to get that. It helps if you just kind of peg that on there first, look at it and get it lined up and peg it on. And then if you need to straighten this up at all, because sometimes this will turn out like that and you want it to be like that, do that after the fact once you get it pegged in. So, like that. I'm gonna have that kind of sit with the angle with the thing. And then with this, kind of just leave this up here for right now. Come down here on the legs and flip the feet back down, kind of like you're going back to tank mode, except like I mentioned, this time, you rotate it like this, and then this bring it down, and back here, you can either flip these up or just go ahead and flip the wings out, which you can hear that nice ratchet there on them. But this black tab here, you want to fold up so it clips into this slot here on the teal thing. So keep pushing it. And then, so once it's clipped in there, and it's kind of hard to see here, you should get that clipped in there. And then this whole assembly, minus the black tab, has to rotate back, rotate the knee back around in like that. And this is where I was talking about this tab here on the leg. If you do it right, get the clearance right, it comes up and it pegs right in here. I'm going to get this one like it snaps right into place right there. And that's this tab on the inside of the leg up here, inside of this foot, slotting into this slot right here between the two screw holes here on the side. So again, bring this up and around so it clips into place there, and then bring this all the way around. Oh, see, sometimes that will come undone. That's the tricky part of this. Sometimes once you get it mostly there, you can go back and snap it back into place, but it's easier if it just doesn't come loose. Yeah, if you get this lined up, you can kind of massage that clip in if it pops out. Nope, come on. So we want to make sure this tabs in to the side. There we go. Get that tabbed in, and then you can finish squeezing these together here like that. Oh, it came loose again. There we go. And then squeeze it right there. Just make sure that all locks together. And you can give these, if it comes loose, you can give this a little push here to kind of lock it. There we go. Lock it back in place. Then you can go ahead and take these up, flip this down, and just down around like that. Lift this panel up here on the window here, and fold this down like this. And then this piece, this little tab right here, just fold this piece down, and that's going to lock that and hold it in place. It also does, like I was mentioning, Scar tends to, on the underside of the bird, fall out. And of course he's not this time, but that's because the head's pushed in a little bit. He does tend to fall out a little bit. This kind of helps lock him in place a little bit. And if you put the gun where I'm going to put the gun, it'll also hold it in place. But again, also, if you just push that little gray tab at the back of his head in a little bit, generally gives him the friction to stay in there. So just a little tip. And then once that's done, and this is folded around and locked, you can fold these panels all the way down to give him his bird legs. Open up the wings if you haven't already. And open up this panel right here. Push his, and it's important, you can see, if you're looking at him like this, that the top of his head always goes to the left if you're looking at the top, because of the way this hinge works. If you rotate it the other way, it won't fold in. So when you're folding it back around, make sure once you collapse the head, it goes to the left here. But you take this, you rotate this whole assembly around. You have to get his head just right to get the clearance. It likes to just squeeze through there. And then you can go ahead and lock this in place with this. And then this piece comes down, and this kind of friction tabs into this cutout here, all the way down like that. And then the bird head you lift up like that, and then you extend the neck on a dual hinge, and then you can open his mouth. And that gives him the ability to look up and down, rotate his head, all that. Make sure those stay flat. The wings, like I said, actually have ratchets this time. That was one of the flaws on the original. You can hinge them here. You can hinge them here at the tips, however you want to make the wings look dynamic. But on my original, you used to have to put some nail polish or floor polish or something on these hinges because there was no ratchet, and they would, over time, just tend to sag. So it's nice that we actually have some nice little clicky hinges there in the bird wings. As for the rest of the stuff, you take the missile here, take the tail piece, and this is what I was talking about. You want these on the same plane because you need to plug this in right here and have it so that peg kind of has a little recess to sit in. That's how you attach the tail piece. And then this clip right here clips on right to the front of this piece. They actually solved this on the original toy. The missile sat underslung on the bird, which was a little risque. So suggestive, I guess I should say. But you just clip that on. And again, make sure this stays pegged together right here. Clip that into place right there. So the missile's sitting along his back. And then you just take these. The instructions, again, show them folded straight down. I think it looks a little cleaner if you just kind of angle them forward so they just kind of sit against the body like that. And then these extra pieces, the missile launchers go on the two sides of the bird right here. Although, again, you're welcome to stick them in any of the 5mm ports that you want to use. I'm going by the instructions here. And I will show my thing. This can go in either, these can go in either hand, however you want to do it. But what I usually do, it shows one on one side, one on the other hand. What I usually do with this gun is I plug it in right here. One, I feel like it kind of takes the place of that underslung missile from the old toy. But I think it makes more sense as a central turret for this alt mode here. As well as the fact that the back of the gun, in case you can't get the friction to hold this between this piece and this piece, even if this comes loose, it's not going to fall out on you, which is good. And there is his bird mode. Not a whole lot of, like, most of the articulation is just here in the head. It can look up and down. His jaw can open. It can tilt side to side. And then you've got the toes, but they're mostly just there for support. And the wings. So you got some, you can spread his wings or whatever. You can also do this old trick. It used to be like in some of these modes, you could use the blue case to store the extra, because the Power Master would unlock the transformation, and the other one would I'd put in the blue case and peg it into the back of the missile. And you can still do that here if that's where you want it, if you need to store Knock and Scar. Now, like I said, they're a bonus value if you got that Unit 3 select set. But one of the things that I really like about this is that you don't need the Power Masters to unlock the transformation, and they've engineered this in a way that it feels like a fully complete toy, even without the even if you don't get your hands on these, it's not really a loss, because you might think, hey man, it'd be nice if something fit in here. This would otherwise be empty under here, but for the most part, it's fully transformable. You don't need these guys. They're just kind of bonus accessories. Now, if you had G1 Double Dealer, obviously you do need these guys, but you know the toy itself is manufactured to not require them, and doesn't feel less than if you don't have them. But there is Earthrise War for Cybertron Double Dealer Leader Class. Very cool. I'm very happy with him. It fixes a lot of the issues that I had with the old G1 toy. His head's more proportional. I love his head sculpt. He's a lot of fun, and like I said, both his alt modes are pretty decent. I mean, the bird mode, okay, man, but he's a good solid chunky robot. He doesn't feel like he's got a lot of extraneous parts just to make him bigger like some of the other ones did. And I'm very happy with him. I think he's definitely worth the price. Also, real quick, a shout out to Tank Hunter 48 on Twitter, who managed to get me with a TCG ending. He did send me a set of the Tidal Wave and Arcana promo cards from the events. So I do now have, I'm going to have to build a Tidal Wave deck here. Let's use the 3 parts that combine to form the giant Tidal Wave. And so if I put together a good Tidal Wave deck, I'll post it somewhere so you can use it. And then Arcana for Brainstorm. So again, thank you. Shout out to Tank Hunter 48, as well as the Toa Nuva for hooking me up with Double Dealer here. I super appreciate it. He's a lot of fun, so thanks. And thanks for watching. See you next time.